I don't know why we fear the microphone. To live, to die, who really cares? I think Jesus was right. We should love thy neighbor, but I don't think we should necessarily have tea with them. I've said it before, but I think the true reset is a cyclical event. Too great and vast, the ruins that we see. It said King Solomon built out of lapis lazuli, a blue stone. I think that sounds really futuristic, something that I've probably never seen before. I love things that I've never seen before. I think nature, or whatever it is, provides this for us. Today I hope to look at such things. I love you all, thank you for being here, God bless, and welcome. What will I share? I've been looking into Wyoming the last few days. I recently shared the Ames Monument with you all, but I thought it was unfair I didn't share all the amazing buildings in Wyoming. Didn't even begin. Although they tell us that monument was designed in the Richardsonian Romanesque architectural style, it was still a pretty unusual Romanesque Richardsonian design. Not typical, I would say. Here I'm looking into a Richardsonian building, and it's actually not too far away from me. I plan on visiting it very soon. Anyway, they say that this is one of the few Romanesque architectural wonders in southwest Wyoming. This is the old courthouse. And now they've turned it into a museum. We can see it here. We can see this beautiful picture of it, and they simply tell us it was built in 1894. Not sure if they claim this to be a one-year wonder, but as they say, it offers us a unique look back into the history of Rock Springs. Constructed of native sandstone, the structure housed the city hall, police station, and jail. Oh, and the fire station, the judge's chambers, the courtroom, and municipal offices for nearly a century. Yeah, look at the people down here. They certainly don't need much more. If you've read my book, you'll know I bought my land at a tax auction. And this was like over 20 years ago. But tax auctions still exist, a great way to get cheap land, and one should do their research, that's all. Do a lot of research if you're going to go down that route. But again, 20 years ago, it brought me to Wyoming. I might have bought land in Wyoming. Didn't work out, but I went to a lot of these courthouses because that's where you go to inquire on delinquent tax land auctions. And I was always fascinated with these buildings. I always thought, what is with all of these beautiful buildings that were pretty much in disuse, oftentimes just one little section for a small courthouse in Wyoming. And here I can show you some of those. Here's a Newcastle, Wyoming courthouse, and just very typical. Always walking up a set of stairs, columns, and even though they want to say that there isn't Romanesque architecture, it's really mostly all that I see. Here in Casper, Wyoming, the Natrona County Courthouse. Here in Cody, Wyoming, the Park County Courthouse. And Rock Springs is not too far from a little town called Green River. It may as well be the same town. This building is in Green River, Wyoming. A little mini castle, or the top of one, on Main Street. It looks like maybe a pizza place, or it looks like they built a little cheap wooden patio, a little lean structure on the side here. And I'm down with lean structures. It's a really easy way to build, especially to add on to an existing structure, but Just look at the difference. Here built in 1890, and here built probably 10 years ago. Maybe 20. And here I jump back to Rock Springs. The city hall was paid for entirely from revenues collected by issuing liquor licenses in town. That is a lot of liquor. The building originally cost $28,000 and featured electric lighting, steam heating from the start. It remains the only example of Richardsonian Romanesque architecture in southwest Wyoming. In the 80s, 1980, a new City Hall building was constructed and the original building was closed until 92, so it just sat empty for 11 years. Then it underwent a $1.7 million renovation and emerged as the cornerstone of downtown. So late in the game. It's like they finally realized it was nice in the 90s. Sat empty for some time until Rock Springs' centennial celebration in 1988. That's it. They just said, hey, let's do something with that old building in 1988. Through hard work and dedication of volunteers, they turned it into a museum, which opened in 88, June 4th, with this $1.7 million budget given to them by the Abandoned Mine Land Reclamation Program. Now let's look at something else. It seems like a group of people that have inherited a lot from the old world. Kind of like this Hillsdale College, founded in 1844. The cornerstone of the building was laid in 1853, and it opened in 1855. This central hall was rebuilt after a fire in 1874, and this is actually what initially caught my interest, was this building. And I was out and about and saw this on a little calendar, and the calendar was actually free. I was very excited. It's a 2023 kind of mini calendar, and I thought, I'll look into this history since this little calendar and this building has come my way. Here I can show it to you on the Google Earth. Again, this was built in 2 years, they tell us, 1853. And here we are in Michigan, Hillsdale College in Hillsdale. And when we zoom in, we can tell right away that there's going to be something interesting because of this pattern, of course. And we'll just drop the man down and you can have a look. Boom. Here we go. And I don't know why they've blotched it out here, but there's a building here, one here, 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 and here. So really interesting, this little square. Really a good foundation for a little town. This could have been anything, but it's been turned into this school that was built in 2 years in 1853. It's all original. And again, here she is. And it was pretty ridiculous, actually. In 1848, 1845-ish, the college had 25 undergraduates by the end of its first year. So they outgrew their space in 1853. So 10 years or so later, from 25 students, now outgrowing their space, moving to Hillsdale, Michigan, in part to have access to the railroad that served the city. It received considerable financial support from local citizens who wanted to develop the 20-year-old town. Again, the cornerstone was laid, and 2 years later, they opened this Hillsdale College. Here we go. Here's an old picture. Here we can see Central Hall in 1908, the unneeded college for 25 students. Here, Chief brought me over to this side, and there were some other ruins that I hadn't seen, kind of a different nature, and really just seeming like it just went on, and just little parts here by the road were poking out. And like I said, the more you went uphill, the more it sounded hollow underneath you. Here we get a little close up, and I'm not sure. I didn't want to devote too much time but I also thought it was worth checking out. We're in the middle of nowhere, nobody has passed. There used to be a lot more oil field traffic, and I don't know, maybe it's because it was Sunday. There wasn't much activity. Here again, another section, and this almost looked like it had a little arch feature. Was this a reused piece? And here I zoom in. Just some of these rocks don't look like the kinds of rocks you would use to build. And we do see a lot of impressions. On the way through this canyon, I stopped at this petroglyph panel, a real famous one. I figured since I was out here, I may as well get a picture of it for you all. And here it is. It's called the Owl Panel. And I'm not sure. Again, I've said it before, but I'm more interested in these structures. I sometimes think that these petroglyphs are kind of a distraction. However, this one is really interesting. Here it looks like a bear paw, and these are clearly up for interpretation. Up here, again, more interesting to me than the petroglyphs themselves. But let's jump ahead now. On the way out there, Chief and I explored some sites. I was finally able to get a little closer to this Bamberger monument that they tell us was built by prisoners, and they couldn't fit the E on the end for Salt Lake here. We also discovered some ruins, some remnants of an old wall. If I have time, I'll share more on that. In these old world train tunnels, but all of this is on the way. So here I am in this canyon, Highway 6, and I think that this is what I'm looking for. There were ruins all throughout this canyon, and people are driving worse than ever these days. It's very difficult to find a spot to pull over, and finally I did. Let's see what they give us here. If we drop the man right here. Oh, thank you. A truck. And there she is. You see those bastards? By design. And if I didn't know it was there. Look, and the truck's still there. Get out of here, truck. So here we go. Here are these ruins. Right off the side of the road. And there were so many just like this. This was just the only spot I could pull over. Tell me if this is normal. This truck does not move. Let's go back a little more. No, it just stays in one place, but we go further back. Well, anyway, at least I know I'm in the right spot. And I just want to show you how it looks like nothing from above. So here we go, zooming in, and nothing. You would not know that there was an old world block wall right there. And what you do see looks stupid. These are buildings. These are buildings. This is a wall. I mean, no doubt, I was there. I'm going to show you pictures, and I just showed you a street level that they were trying to hide with a truck. Here we go. Is this scrubbed out, or am I losing my mind? Look at this. This is what we get with their BS satellites? No, this is art right here. A cover-up. And let's go to my pictures now. So here we are. No nice little brown sign telling us what this is. No parking lot or appreciation. And like I said, there were several dozen of these sites, and this is the one that I managed to record on this day. You see it continues back here. Can you imagine the size of this structure? I show a picture of me standing next to it. I mean, these are huge. I felt like I was standing in front of the wall in Jerusalem or something. But here it has a ramp, and it even has features, like a tapering edge. Beautification, essentially. So it's not just some stupid wall, although it's in absolute ruins. And here you can see the tapering top. And if you watch my videos, you'll know that I've been chasing these blocks all over the place. Found them in the middle of the desert, up where I live, where they really shouldn't be. And here we go. Not far from the Castle Gate explosion, we're told was a mining disaster in this area. And is this the remains of the castle? Of course, they don't tell us there was a castle here. And here we go. You can see the features. And Chief and I went up to the top of it, and then there's more structure. It just makes no sense. Hence why they have no little brown sign. with a BS history on it. I go up to this door, and somebody has gone out of their way to concrete the door shut. Just so important. And our clue that somebody is covering something up, clearly. And I did hit it a little, and it was very thick, not the kind of thing I could get through. But here we go. This is just this little top buildings. And you saw what they did on Google Earth. I mean, what a joke. They blurred these babies out. And for who? Perhaps for me. And here I poke under the wall, and there's an opening. We can see that moisture has been present in this area, especially right here. And again, I'm just on my way to the mental hospital castle. This was just something I saw out my window while everyone was driving 80 miles an hour. Here's some old metal. And this is not by the railroad tracks. The railroad tracks are across the highway, down in a ravine. Here again, looks like somebody has put cinder blocked this access off. So I didn't even see this while I was in person. There was so much to look at. So now another doorway. And I have no history to even contest here. There is no story to these ruins. As of now that I've been here, I can look into it more. And remember, this is not far from that monument, the Bamberger Monument, that's out in the middle of nowhere. And here we see a piece of copper. Looks like copper wrapped in another type of metal, poking out of this blockage. So super interesting. Let me know your thoughts. Ultimately, I don't know. I'm just investigating and exploring. And here there was fine beach sand all around it, very beachy. And I walk up to this wall to the south, and it actually seemed to round around this corner. There, just a little taste of the inner workings, and we can see it rounds around. Of course, we'd be told this has something to do with mining. In my opinion, it's pretty important. We need a better story. And yet at the same time, we don't need a story. We don't need their stupid story. It would only be interesting to hear what they say. And this is what the city of Provo looks like now. Such a beautiful place, and yet the city is just garbage. I mean, here is our modern city. Absolute trash. Here you can see a Verizon cube, ugly signs, ugly buildings, and complete disharmony and dysfunction. Here a 5G tower, can I say that? And I eagerly got out of there. I drove straight east through the Provo Canyon, and here you can see Mount Timpanogos. Provo is down that way. And of course I made coffee by the lake. It baffles me why anyone would choose the city over the country. Perhaps it's just the familiar or certain indulgences, but personally this is more my style. How disconnected we've become. And for me it's actually healthy to experience both sides, to remind me. And I want to take a moment to thank all my subs, Patreons, and everyone who supports this channel. I love you all, and God bless.